I used to think I was bad at time. I wasn't. I was just spending the wrong currency. I had the hours, but I couldn't focus. I couldn't care. I couldn't stay present long enough to finish anything. That's when it hit me. Time doesn't run out. You do. It's your focus that collapses. It's your energy that gets drained. And once they're gone, time becomes useless. This one realization changed how I run my business. It changed how I parent. It even changed how I wake up in the morning. In this episode, I'm going to show you the exact moment I saw the system, a new way of thinking, energy, focus, time, money, and how flipping this changed everything. Because when you finally get this, you stop feeling guilty about being tired and you start winning the right battles. All right, here's what we're going to walk through today. This isn't just another time management video. It's a breakdown of when I realized I was solving the wrong problem. We're going to go through 4 phases, the exact journey I took that flipped how I think about time, energy, and focus. Chapter 1 will be the signal. First, I'll take you back to the moment that I felt something was off. I had time, but I was still falling behind. Chapter 2, struggle. Then we'll dig into the frustration, why I kept burning out even though I had the space on my calendar. Chapter 3, shift. Next, I'll walk you through the breakthrough. The exact moment I realized time wasn't the currency we're actually spending. And finally, Chapter 4, the system. Lastly, I'll show you a new structure I built, the framework that changed everything. Focus, energy, time, money. This one shift changed how I run my day, how I parent, how I build, and how I rest. All right, Chapter 1, the signal. We're going to act a bit like Will on Will interviewing Will. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to ask some questions, okay? And I'm just going to do my best to answer through those questions as we go through this journey. That way I don't miss any of the things that I feel like will be super valuable to you. So when did you first start feeling like time wasn't enough? I've struggled with time for a very long time. I've always looked to optimize my time. I've always looked to be like, okay, I have to work for 8 hours. How can I passively listen to this knowledge stuff? How can I do all these different things? And even though I did those things, and even though those things are beautiful leverage, we talk a lot about time on this channel, I realized there was something missing in the formula. Because like, sometimes I'd have like a full day to be like, okay, great, gonna get into it, gonna vlog, gonna do it. Or I'd have a full day where I'm like, okay, gonna crush, let's go. But then the life happened, the world happened, and that same enthusiasm, that same just conviction faded as the day went by. Sometimes all of a sudden, sometimes just like automatically. And I kept on just like looking and thinking, like, it's not just, I don't think I said it in my mind, but I realized that there was something else to having a full day, right? You start the day, you have an off day, right? You go have an off day, you have these plans of like what you're gonna do with the family or whatever it is. And then by the end of the day, you're like, fuck. You're like, none of that stuff happened. Or you go do this thing and you feel terrible. Or you have a big project that you're like, okay, I'm ready to go. But for whatever reason, it went off the rails. And it wasn't because of time. Time can fuck you up real quick, easy. But in these cases, they weren't time. It was the environment, the surroundings, all the different things that just somehow, whether it was your mental or your disconnection or your inability, like there's so many things that just can come at you even when you have the time. And I started really thinking a lot about this. You know, I just kind of like wondered, I said, what is it? Like, if time is like our most valuable resource, because we talk about it a lot, why is it that if I have time, I'm still not able to do the things that I need to get done. And that just really was the catalyst, okay? So, got the questions here, 1 second. There we are. What did your schedule look like on paper, and how did it feel like in reality? My calendar, my God, like I schedule to the minute, right? I'm like, okay, boop, 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 got this block. And I'd have many days where I look at the calendar and I'm like, looked at how the day turned out, and I'm like, what the fuck happened? Like, where do we go off the rails here? Because clearly this was here, and now it's not there. Like, it just, I used to not schedule anything into my calendar because I knew that for whatever reason, things would go awry. And so I felt as though like me scheduling something in the calendar would be not a disservice, it would just be a not accurate representation of what my life actually was. And I think that's kind of silly, right? Like, if you're in control of your time, then why is it that your day is not turning out how you expect it to? Okay? And I think that was like that itch. Like, I've had many times where I've had a day where then all of a sudden there's an argument that happens, right? And then my mental is just, it's out. It's gone. I need to recharge. I need to rejuice. And like, with all that, it's painful because you have these deadlines, these obligations, or these promises to yourself. And every day that you do not do that for yourself is another day that you feel as though you've maybe lied to yourself. Another day that you feel as though, like, damn, like, if, like, not just that day, but you're like, if I have more days like this ongoing, like, this cannot continue. And that, that just really was the signal. All right, chapter 2, the struggle. What were you trying to fix? What were you trying to fix at the time? Was it productivity, discipline, or something deeper? I've always tried to be productive, but I've found over and over and over, I lack discipline. I have this shiny object syndrome that just goes around. It just kind of floats around in my mind. Every day I'm just thinking and thinking and thinking and turning and turning and turning. And it's amazing. I love fucking thinking. I love just like, but what happens is those things that you're executing on, they're great. And then the next day comes and there's something else. And so you're adding on to your workload of what you have to do, or you're just saying, oh, I'm not going to worry about that anymore. I'm going to do this, even though that thing may be open. And so I've always been trying to solve for productivity, but my mind's always leaned into creativity. Like, and that's not the same thing all the time. Like, my mind is like, yeah, I'm going to prioritize what I want to do, not what everybody else wants to do. And I think that that's cool and that works. But it can cause, if you continue to shift and move and jump and whatever, it can cause a lot of open projects. It can cause a lot of feeling of though you're not moving. And so the struggle there is just, you have a certain amount of time, we can agree with that, per day. Yet all of a sudden you're kind of all over the place. So even though you have that focused block of time, let's just call it, sometimes we don't, but let's say we have the focused block of time, we're still all over the place. We're still getting robbed by other people's, requests from us. So time, it's finicky, it's interesting, because you can buy time. You can buy time from other people, but what's even more interesting is even though you can buy time from other people, are you actually getting an ROI on that time bought? Right? So the time is this bucket, but there's something else deeper within this bucket that, for whatever reason, it's not, it's elusive. It feels elusive, or at least it felt elusive. That was the struggle that I felt. I knew something was off, but I could not name why, starting a day other than, okay, when I'm in this house right now with all my kids, like, it's chaos, and I know that I'm not going to get what I want done. So I need to go elsewhere. I kind of had those feelings. Or I know if I get into this argument, like, my day's going to be fucked. Or I know, like, I had those feelings, but I couldn't really put a pulse on what it was deeper than me just allocating time. How did it feel when you had time but still couldn't move the needle? Like a failure. Because what happens is you get excited about what you're going to do, or at least I do. And then in your mind, every day that you don't, let's say that you're like, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week. Got it. Boom. Let's go. You set out the time blocks right there. Boom, 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 boom. Ready to go to the gym. Cool. And you go to the gym the first day, you're like, yeah, got it. Cool. Second day, you don't go. Okay? You don't go. Third day, you don't go. Fourth day, you go, but you're feeling low on it because you said, I'm going to go 5 days, and I've only gone one, missed two, and I've gone, the fourth day or whatever, which is 2. You're like, I'm not doing it, and so you get that demotivation. It feels like you're a failure. I mean, maybe other people don't feel this way, but I know for myself, I have these feelings of, like, goal of what I'm trying to do, or even inputs. Not even goal. I know that just if I go to the gym every, 5-6 days a week or whatever, my body will be vibing, just chilling. Like, I don't really need to think about the end result. End result's good for external motivation of, like, hitting a milestone. But, like, I know if I hit the inputs, I'll be just fine. So the question is why can't we hit the inputs? Why is it that when we set this intention to go out and do something and we allocate the time to go do it, we still cannot do it? And that can be really frustrating. Sometimes there's self-limiting beliefs, okay? And this is not a video about self-limiting beliefs, but I'll take a tiny side tangent to talk about self-limiting beliefs. Sometimes it's like you allocate the time, but then you get into your mental about why you can't. You're like, it's raining. What if they look at me weird? All that stuff. Like that mental fatigue wears you down, and then it psychs you out. Like, I'm not good at talking on stage. I'm not good at like, you just psych yourself out. This is not specifically the thing that I'm seeing. Not seeing, but not specifically in my case, why, if I have time, I still cannot perform. I still cannot get it done. And even, this just, it fucks you up. Because the more things that you promise yourself, right? And the more times you let yourself down, or you let other people down, like, you feel like shit. And you just continue to, like, get into this, like, loop of, like, I'm going to do something and then I don't do it. Even though you have the time to do it. The allocated time. And, that's where I just kind of hit that point. So, what was the shift? Chapter 3. The breakthrough moment. Let's see. Can you remember the exact moment you realized it wasn't time you were running out of it? Or it wasn't time you were running out of? Last week. This is just a reflection of last week where I thought to myself, because here's the thing. Time's interesting too, in its way. We see our day, and we want to use up every hour of every day, right? We're like, okay, cool, I have, 10 hours or 12 hours or whatever to allocate. And so you fill them all up because you want to get the most out. But we also know that there's leverage to time. You can do low output work, or you can do high output work let's just call it 6 hours, and get double, triple, 10x the return. So we already know that there's ways to leverage up our time. But the shift that I had was this. I realized that if I have all the time that I need, what I focus on is now the next constraint, right? So you have 8 hours. Now the choice that you have to make with that 8 hours is, what do I focus on, right? What's the focus? And if you have many different things, and this was the real thing, if you have many different things, all of a sudden you are focusing on all these different little items in within this block of time. So it doesn't really matter what you have, like that time block, it doesn't matter at all. If you don't have focus, if you don't have the tenacity, the ability to say no to all these other things and focus on one thing, you, in a sense, like, that's bigger than time. Because if someone has a limited amount of time, right? Let's say that instead of, let's say you have 8 hours a day, or 8 hours of time, and you're spread all over the place with your focus. Whether it's focus because you personally have picked all sorts of different things you want to work on, or even more, you have other people demanding your focus, sapping your focus, taking your focus away. You can't pay attention. You're all over the place. I would argue that the person with 2 hours of time, the bucket of time, and that bucket of time is deep work, focused on one thing, I imagine they're pushing the needle much further than you are with your 8 hours, which is why time is really important, but focus is an even bigger lever, right? That's one of the biggest ones. It's not the only one, but it's one of the biggest ones. And that's the shift that I had. I said, holy shit, I've been prioritizing being busy, not being focused. All these things on my list, all this stuff, doing. All over the fucking place, looking like a goddamn, like, picture, like, they'll draw the fill in the line thing, making a picture over here of me going crazy, but not focused. Your day, look at your day. All the things you have to do in your day, all over the fucking place. You have all the 24 hours, all over the fucking place. But there's no focus. There's no real focus in it. And if you can be able to say no to everyone, like everyone, all the things, no. And you say, this time right here, the limited time I have, great. Within that time, I'm going to focus. I'm just going to focus. I'm going to fucking focus. That's what I'm going to do. Now, focus is interesting because focus has a lot to do with your energy. Okay? If you are tired, very hard to focus. If you are mentally drained, you've gotten into an argument, very hard for you to focus. Meaning that even more over focus is your energy. Like, I believe heavily in energy, like a lot in energy. Like, being around people that are negative as fuck, like, bro, they are sapping like 50% of you just by you being next to them. They are a magnet taking all of it away, just sapping it out. And I've realized this for years. I've had like these kind of micro-realizations about just energy and negative people and people that just, like, you can do it to yourself, right? You not getting enough sleep, you not eating, you not, like, you being sick, like, you can, those energy things that are on you too. But then you have external energy sources the media that you're consuming, the people that you're around, the things that you decide to put yourself in that just aren't your thing to be put in. How hard you're working, physical labor. Like, that's a thing too. And so if we have no energy, then we can't focus. Like, if we can't focus, our time doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. And we can have all the time. Like, if we can like if we don't get this stuff together, like, all of we can spend our energy and our focus and our time and still not make any money. Like, all that stuff. It's like it all is synonymous. Money is cool, but money can be like, time is more important than money, because time is non-renewable. Money's renewable. You can buy other people's time. Focus is even more important than time, because if you can't dedicate yourself to something, the discipline, the time doesn't matter. And then energy is even more important than all of them, because without energy, you can't live. You can't be, you can't thrive. And that just, I had that moment of just clarity that I've allowed a lot of busyness in my life. I've allowed a lot of people to sap my energy and take my focus and steal my focus. That was really the moment. Chapter 4. All right. Chapter 4. The system. All right. Whew. The system. We're just going to freestyle it on here. We got questions, but I think, my brain's already thinking in the process. But, like, one thing that's been the one thing, let's just call it the one thing. I mean, they play together, so we'll connect them. But the one thing that has really pushed the needle, okay, is having a deep work block. Like, if you don't take anything from here, just like having a deep work block that is first thing in the morning for you, that could be the takeaway. But I want to talk about the system around how we make sure we have this time, make sure we have the energy. How do we make sure we block the distractions? And when we have our deep work, how we're able to focus, okay? I want to take you through how I'm personally doing this, because it's not enough to have just one or the other or whatever. A lot of times we fall victim to a lot of things because we don't have all of the tools. So first things first is sleep. I felt really obligated for a very long time to stay up later past the time that my body actually wanted to stay up. Date night and all these different things. And now more and more I realize, like, if I do not go to sleep at this time, I will not be able to get up at this time. And that sets the whole tone for your whole day, right? If you need 6 hours of sleep, right? It's a requirement, not I just wake up at this time. If you need 6 hours of sleep, if you need 7 hours of sleep, 8 hours of sleep, whatever it is, you have to guarantee that energy, that sleep. Because if you don't, you will wake up without your battery's not fully charged, okay? So that's one thing. 2, we talked about this in the last video, but a lot of us don't actually know what we're working towards. And for a very long time, for my own self, like I talked about in the last video, like, I generally knew, okay? I had generalizations, some kind of deadlines here, some kind of goals there. But you know what motivates the fuck out of you to, like, get up and just crush? Is when you can see what you're actually doing, okay? And I don't mean like an open to-do list, right? That's cool, that's fine. But when you start actually charting each day, okay, all you do, and I use Notion for this, you use what you want, but what you do is you say, what are the 10 stats, the 10 things that I need to track, okay, that are going to get me where I want to go. So I divide it up by business and I divide it up by personal. So 5 and 5. And this will all come down to your focus and your ability, your energy and all that. So 5, the 5 that I'm personally tracking, and these are yours, they can completely be something different, okay? Use ChatGPT, whatever. It knows about your life better than I do, right? But I'm personally trying to grow a media company right now. And so for me, like watch time and click-through rate, and we've added a couple of metrics, but like I'm just going to give you some examples of stats, right? Watch time and click-through rate and email list, how many followers on your email list or whatever, or how many subs on your email list, your subscribers, your amount from your courses / Patreon, right? You may decide, okay, these are the 5 stats that I want to track. Once you decide to make that moment in time, cool, I'm going to track these stats. And I'll get over to personal too. You know, personal would be like time with family and or hours spent with family per day, bills paid. And again, these are all your own stats. You choose what's important to you, the big things in life that you care about. Whatever. You got 5 different personal ones, 5 business ones. You make a table that has a spot to put the stat for each one. So for instance, you know, I have a new entry for every single day. A new, like, so today is May 29th. So I'd say May 29th in the date, great. And then across the table would be a place for each of those stats. Watch time, blah, 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 whatever, all the things. One day of data seems kind of cool. It's like almost like a motivation. It's like a tracker of you actually being responsible to yourself. You said that these are the things. These are the things that are most important to you. Those things, those 10 things are the things. Everything else, it's secondary. You chose those 10 things in your life. 5 for business, you know, to get a round picture. 5 for personal, so that you're rounded overall. If you've made an agreement with yourself and said, these are the 10 things that are important to me, that I'm working on growing and tracking, and I'm doing this, it could be the gym in personal, whatever. How long you worked at the gym today, or did you go to the gym today, type of thing. Yes, no. What happens is then, in Notion specifically, you can make a graph, okay, that shows, it maps every single day, just like YouTube shows you a graph of your watch time and stuff like that. You can make a graph that every single time you add a new day, it automatically shows a spike that goes completely down. It shows it go down. And what you can then do for the rest of your day, your deep focus work, your time, is try to move those fucking stats. You're like, I'm trying to, like, I see the top that I did was, 28 pieces of content distributed. That's my top. And if you're anything like me, you're a CEO, you're like, I want to beat that fucking 28. I got you, 28. I'm going to be 35, nigga. Like, let's go, right? And so it creates this ongoing trajectory and path to show you where you're at. And guess what? When you drop off and you don't do it for the day, that hurts. Spike down. And then you're like, oh, I got to get right back up. Versus it all being in your head. You can't remember none of that shit. You just can't. You just can't. You can't fucking remember it. So you said these are the top 10. Great. Cool. That's top 10. It's kind of like the MySpace top 8 or whatever. Now, what's interesting is once you make that decision that these are the things that you're going to focus your life on for this season, for this chapter of your life, everything else is deprioritized. That's not that. And that's real. Like, you're like, I don't have time to do all this other bullshit that I was doing. Like, for me to do this stuff, it's going to take some time for me to get this stuff done. And so with that, it auto-focuses you. And so you're actually much more limited in like what bullshit you accept on your plate, because you're like, I know that if I accept anything, I'm not going to have the time to push these stats up for the day. I just know that. It's just a reality. And so being able to chart every single day and see the growth, when it's all in your head, a mental fucked up day will fuck you up, right? It'll just like, you'll feel bad, you'll feel terrible, you feel as though you're not making progress. But the stats are right there in your face. And by the way, if the stats are down, you should also feel that. You're like, oh fuck, I didn't show up yesterday. I only did 30 minutes of family time. You should feel that and be like, nah, I got to get that shit up. Come on, let's get that up. It all comes down to being very limited with what you track, right? Again, 10. I think I'm at like 15 right now, and I feel good about this. There are certain things that I'm tracking, but I highly recommend you just start with 10. 5 for business, 5 for personal. In that way, you know what the progress is. And what you can then do is you can go to ChatGPT, is you can screenshot your charts and put them in there and say, hey, give me a breakdown of the end-of-day report. And it will give it to you. It'll tell you the spikes. It'll tell you what you're doing well. And then you take that, put that into that day, and there you go. You have a really good, clear picture, and you can come back every single day. And that shit's motivating. That shit keeps you on point, keeps you focused. Now, let's talk about one more thing with this. So, you're sleeping, you got good sleep, you know what you're focused on. So 10 things that you're focused on, for sure. Now you need a spot in your day for this to happen. I highly recommend that you do this first thing, okay? Like, after you drop off the kids, the first 4 hours, whatever, first 2 hours, whatever it is you want to do, like 2 to 4 hours, is your focus block where you are charting if you didn't chart the stats from yesterday, you put them in, and then you can make an end-of-day report, an end-of-day loom, just a reflection about what happened. What I do, the system that I do, is I take the screenshots of the charts, put them into ChatGPT. I have a day every single day in my ChatGPT. So each day I create a new chat and name it the date. Chat knows everything that I've been talking about for that day. It also knows all the other things, but it's a good snapshot of what I was thinking and all the things I was going through. So I add the charts in, boom, there you go. So now you know what progress we made. And then, even more importantly, I go outside of Dunkin' and I record like a 5-minute voice memo of chronologically what happened. So it has even more context. I'm like, hey, okay, woke up, today was Titan's graduation, went there at 9, da-da-da. I give it all the nuance, okay? So it has a full picture. Boom. There you go. So it has everything I was thinking from yesterday, that I went through. It has all the charts from yesterday, and it has contextual information about the day, the emotions, all the things. Not just business, just the whole picture. And then what I do is it shoots out different reports. Now, I have 5 different reports that I have it shoot out. But what's great about this is you're not really having to write up 5 reports. You've given all the stuff, but you're able to then, let me pull this up, you're able to then get different types of reports for different kind of scenarios. For instance, we have for yesterday, so we have our compelling stats report, right? So, and it's right here. But compelling stats report kind of takes a look at today's stats, yesterday's stats, and then also last week's stats. And it tries to find compelling stats and things that were either improving, dropping, whatever, which is really cool, because what you need is an ability for you to have like a personal tracker that keeps track of all your shit, like keeps track of what you're doing, so you can stay motivated. You're like, oh shit, I dropped 2 points today, or oh man, I this or that. You need that, and without that, your focus, it goes all over the place. Then I have what's called a personal momentum report, or momentum report, that just kind of talks about what we're doing good, what's at risk, all the things, just kind of the motivation. Then I have a business ops report, which is more of kind of like a businessy thing that I might share with like a team or whatever. Then I have actually a content story report, which is really thinking about my day in a format where I'm talking. This is how I do my content here. It pretty much takes my whole day for that day, and then from there, it's able to give me a breakdown or a story that I can kind of tell back to you guys in a lesson format. That way, you know, so it just, instead of you coming up with all these new ideas all the time, because you already are, why not just take a snapshot of what your day was last week? Another day, another day, another day. So it's always one of one. It's always content that you are making. It's always coming from you and the lessons that you've learned. And then you have the stats to back it up. Then we have the Dan Harmon story circle. So this is more documentary style. So I have all this information. We have the stats, we have the reports, we have the screenshots from the day. I put all my screenshots that I've done for the day in there. I have the morning loom, the evening loom, all this stuff. You don't have to do all this stuff, but like this stuff allows us to create a real picture about what's important in our life. We said these 10 stats are important, and so we're able to report on them and also make progress on them, and also see day to day what the progress was. Very important. The Dan Harmon circle, it, you know, breaks down an actual story arc, so that if I want to come back in filmmaking, let's just say if I filmed that day, I have a good idea of what that day was about and how to create an arc around it. And then lastly, one of my favorites is the family debrief. So my family might not care all about the crazy stats and all the things, but it breaks down what's important to the family. Dad worked on this today. Dad was excited about the graduation. Dad did X, Y, Z. And I then screenshot that and send it over to my wife. A lot of people, they don't know what you're doing, and that's okay. But I find that at least keeping my partner in the know gives her an idea of what the fuck I'm doing every day, all day long. That way we're on the same page, because like you can get lost all over the place, especially with your partner, about what we're doing or what we're not doing. And with that was one of the biggest things, and I'm going to come out of focus and really talk about our energy. So we've created our block of time that is dedicated. My block of time right now is pretty much from 8 to 10 or 8 to 12, really workouts, you know, roughly 10 to 12. But like I like to have at least 2 to 4 hours of focus per day. If I do that, my day is gravy. I feel great. Because there are obligations that you have. There are other things that you have to do, right? But you're energized. You feel good. You feel great about the day when you've prioritized what's important first. You've knocked down some things. And you also are aware of what you need to do. You see your stats for the day. You know that you need to post, 24 pieces of content or schedule 177 of them or whatever the number is. You know those are the things that you need to do to actually push the needle forward. What's even more interesting about this is you can kind of like Alex Hormozi does, is he can say, out of these stats, right, if I increase just one of them by 5%, what would have the biggest impact? You know what today's stat was? Like if I pushed any of my stats up by 5%, which it would be? Watch time. And so that influenced me to then focus and make a video so that I can get the watch time up. So your stats, your day-to-day stats that you create, again, this is a very simple table. Use Notion because it's a vibe, but all it is like the rows are just the days, today, tomorrow, whatever. And then across the table is empty slots that are, the columns are the 10 stats that you're tracking, the 5 for business and 5 for personal. And that is all you need to do, because all of a sudden that data can be created from there. The graphs can be created from there. If you just do that, I promise you, like I'm telling you, this has been a life changer for me. Now, energy. Energy is crazy. You got to protect your energy. So many people will bring you down. So many people will try to sap your energy, whether intentionally or unintentionally. You got to be able to just cut out the noise. The biggest thing that I do, at least with my energy, is just who's in my who's in my ear each day. And so I created a board, a council, dare I say, of people that I've never met in person. But a council of people that are mentors to me, that have they have perspectives on where I want to go and where I'm trying to go. And so I've tried to make it a little, try to make it diverse. But as I'm working throughout the day, instead of me thinking about the nuance and the bullshit of the day that comes up, I'm filling up my tank with knowledge and information from these different people and understanding new ways to think. And that does fill you up creatively. It doesn't drain you as much as listening to things that are really negative, really just supercharged and just like that make you mad, make you angry, all that stuff. It fills you up in a different way. So your energy level is able to sustain much better versus you going like, oh my God, up, down, up, down, up, down. Like, also energy, super hack here, do as you want. I only eat one meal a day, and only from one place, and only one meal. Okay, all I do is I get my coffee in the morning, great Dunkin' Donuts, and then about 11, 12 o'clock comes, and I order my meal from Chipotle, which is like a quesadilla. Like it's a big old quesadilla with the rice and sauce, whatever the salsa mix type thing, whatever the tomatoes or whatever, and then sour cream. And half of that is enough for a meal for me. I'm about 180 pounds, okay? And then I save the other half until like later on in the evening, around 4 or 5-ish, and I'll eat that. And then I also, and I don't do this every single day, I should, but like I also have protein powder. So your energy, what you put in your body is really important. I'm not like over here like telling you all the help. What I know is that me cooking like every day does not make any sense for me. I'd rather pay someone else, and the food is good every single day. I'm willing to make that. I pay that price, $10 a day. Boom, and then $5 a day for coffee. Okay, $15 a day. I'm able to get my energy in caffeine, and I'm able to get my energy in fuel, like in food, and so it sustains me. And I get good sleep, and I try my hardest to keep my mental stress load down. So many people will stress you the fuck out with all their problems. They will. They'll just put them all on you. And you have to be able to be like, you know what? Because it's easier when you know what you're supposed to be working on, which we just talked about. Our top 10 stats, whatever those are for you, doesn't matter, whatever they are. That's what you're supposed to be working on. That's what's going to push the needle forward. Everything else isn't. Now, there are other things in life, like hanging out with my kids and vibing, which, by the way, it's part of the stats, family time. That's something I'm tracking to make sure there's no days that just like dip the fuck off and dad didn't show up. So you can make that a point. But like, there are other things, and for that, you just have to be very limited with what you say yes to with your obligations. Because most times it's not worth the money. It's not worth the headache. When you say yes to any person, a client, whatever, you're now entangled in their emotion, in their emotions, okay? Like, you have to deliver for them. You have to do this thing. You have to all this stuff. Like, it's not worth it. The reason I shut down the business was to buy back my focus and energy. Like, making good money. And the money, I could see the growth curve. I could see the fucking spike. I could see it moving. But what I also saw was my energy and focus and time all the way down, right? I had no time for anything, I felt like. I had no focus. I just felt like I was jumping between fires. And I had no fucking energy. I was tired. I was exhausted. So money was up, right? We talked about how money's important, right? But what's more important is your time, your focus, your energy. And I traded money, for real, for my time, my focus, my energy. And I will make the fucking trade again. Because you know what it's like to just sit and be with your mind and be able to build and create. Like, yes, you have obligations that you have to take care of. But that's why these stats are there. You're taking care of what's important. You can feel good about that. You live with that, right? Anyways, that's really the system. If I had to just kind of clarify real quick, wrap it into a nice little bow. Make sure you get the sleep that you're telling yourself you need to get, right? And that could be a stat that you track, by the way. Make sure that you have a dedicated block for deep work, okay? Primarily first thing in the morning, before everything else turns into a fire. Everything else can wait. Let it be. Let it burn. Give yourself 2 to 4 hours, okay? In those 4 hours that you have, those 10 things that you chose are what you're working on. And you don't have to work on the 10 things all at once. Like I told you, you can ask ChatGPT, here goes the graphs, here goes where I'm at. If I increased one of these by 5%, which would have the biggest impact? And then it tells you, and that is the thing that you focus on. So note how I'm not working on my sub list today, or I'm not working on my any of these other things specifically. It said watch time, and that motivated how I go about doing this. I know what I need to move the needle, okay? So that's that. So just do that. Make sure you track it. Like on the day, every single day, I promise you this will be a life-changing thing if you just track your stats each day. It's 10 stats, that's all. 5 and 5. You got this. Then energy. Feed yourself. Make sure you're getting food. Like I said, I eat one meal, the same meal every single day. I know how it impacts my body. I feel good. It's almost lunchtime, bro. Like, it's almost time for my Chipotle again, bro. 7 days a week, they open. Because it simplifies things. You don't have to think about it. Your clothes, I like to look good. I like to vibe, I like to hang, right? But like anything that creates all this decision fatigue, you got to cut it out. You know what I mean? Like, keep the things that are important to you, but cut out everything else. And then energy from other people and obligations from other people, be very careful with that. Be very careful. Notice the conversations that you have between people that you're close with, your friends, whatever. And notice if it's complaining or if it's innovating, right? Is it complaining, or are they talking about, man, I can't wait to do this. I'm working on this thing right now. Or they're like, man, today sucks. Let me tell you about how terrible it was. It was this, it was that, da-da-da-da-da-da. Bro, do you think that energy is going to give you, do you think it's going to give you more energy listening to them talk, like complain about their day, or take it away from you? It's going to take it away from you. Because not only do you have to listen, then you go, oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. You got this. You're good. You can do it. Thumbs up. No, I can't do it. This is why I can't do it. It saps your energy. And so you got to be protected for that. You can't avoid it all, okay? Like, I deal with this all the time with my kids, too. Like, it's okay, guys. Like, come on. Like, it's just, it dropped on the floor. Let's grab another one. Let's not let it ruin our fucking day. Let's not ruin our whole day because the cracker fell on the floor. Just grab another one. I'm still navigating that with them. But, like, be very careful of the energy that you allow into your field. Be the positive energy, but don't think that you need to give your positive energy away to other people to make them feel better. That's on them. They have to feel better for themselves. If there's a person that's sad, and having a hard time, like, sure, like, vibe out. But if they're sad every fucking day, like, you might want to start kind of tracking. You might start be like, kind of like how you might track the rain. You're like, I've had this conversation. Out of these 30 days that I've talked to Steve, how many of them were negative, and how many was it that I actually enjoyed it? And you're like, fuck, I had 26 days that just I didn't get anything out of it. There was like 4 good days that was just like, oh, that was great. Like, and then you can, once you have the data, bro, once you have the fucking data, then you can judge. You're like, okay, all right, Steve, 26 days negative, 4 days positive. You gotta fucking go. Okay, you gotta fucking go. Because Steve's not gonna change his mind. He just isn't. Like, Steve's not gonna change being fucking Eeyore or whatever. He's not going to. So you have to be the change and be like, okay, all right, yeah, I'm not gonna do this. You can limit the frequency. You don't have to specifically cut Steve off, but like, bro, you gotta like, he's sapping your energy. He is stealing your energy. We just talked this whole time about how time's important, but what's even more important is focus and energy at the top. Energy at the fucking top. And you're letting this guy, Steve, sap your most important resource. Oh, fuck no. Steve, you gotta fucking go. Gotta go. All right. That's pretty much it, wrapped in a bow. Again, so that would be my PS statement, you know, just like that whole thing. PPS, like if like you're vibing and you're hanging out and you're chilling and you're great and you're feeling good and you know you're like I love the fucking drama. I love like this channel probably is not, it's probably not for you. It's okay though. It's okay. Cause I can't do the negativity, bro. Like, don't get me wrong. There's optimism. There's fucking crazy optimism. Those people are crazy. I'm borderline overly optimistic. I'm a recovering like over optimistic. You know, I try to ground myself a little bit in reality nowadays. Just a little bit. Like, we're fucking crazy too. But like the over pessimistic people, they're tough too. I have a hard time. So if you're that person, if you're super pessimistic, this channel, it's not for you. There's plenty great, amazing videos, guys. If you enjoyed this, all over the channel, I really would appreciate it if you subscribed so we can get this channel up to 1,000 subs. We're at like 340 something right now. So we're on our way. But yeah, let's get this channel up to 1,000. Let's go. Take care. Bye.